Different day, different challenge. Today I am going to start addressing this nastiness. I don't know how to weld, but a buddy of mine has offered to help me patch weld some sheet metal over this stuff to take care of any sort of, ugliness and holes. So that's going to be done tomorrow. And he instructed me to prep the trailer, which means that I have to sand it down, remove any paint so that we can actually weld to this metal. He also told me that I have to get rid of this trim because, as you can see, the trim comes really close to the holes, and so we got to pull all this off so that we can work on it. I'll be honest, I kind of love the trim, so I don't really want to see it go. More than likely, I will end up destroying it as I try and carefully remove it. That being said, I think it's way more important to have a trailer with no holes in it than have a trailer with nice trim. Also, maybe in the future I'll figure out a different way to make some trim, or who knows, maybe I'll get lucky and I'll even be able to salvage the existing trim and then reinstall it. It appears that trim is being held on with rivets, and rivets are essentially little pre-installed pieces of metal that, I don't know if you can even see that, but they basically poke through thin sheet metal and affix it to other surfaces. So they sort of work like screws, but they don't have grooves in them. So the way that we're going to remove these, according to YouTube, is we're going to just drill right through the middle of them, and they should be able to pop out. No muss, no fuss. Awesome. So that's what a rusty rivet looks like before it's been drilled. And then once the drilling commences, it looks exactly the same. No, just kidding. You can see where my drill bit popped through, and it just sort of loosened everything up, and will hopefully release the trim accordingly. If things go as planned, you're going to see a lot of these little pieces. That means the rivets are coming out as intended. Okay, so the trim is off officially. So now we need to figure out how best to take some of this paint off. I'm thinking that a grinder wheel, an angle grinder with a flap disc, might be best, but we're gonna have to run some tests to make sure. This is all just one big experiment for me. I'm only now at 35 learning to work with metal, so I hope I'm not offending any of my viewers by doing stuff improperly. This is literally my first time. Also, check it out. I laid down a big old tarp because I figured this process is going to get messy. There's going to be metal shards all over the place, and it's probably best to contain them as best as possible. How satisfying is this? Check it out. Look at that. Did I get you? After about 35 minutes of angle grinding with a flap disc and then a wire brush, you can see that a lot of the paint has been stripped and it's been cleaned up quite a bit. Some of this still looks pretty rough. I'm gonna leave it for now because I'm not sure if we can weld right over it or if we're gonna need to cut that out. My friend might want this gone, he might want it here, and I'd rather cut it out when I know for sure that he wants it gone versus cut it out now and then regret it. So slowly but surely, I'll get it done.
So there's really two ways we can do this repair. One, we can cut out sections, because we do have sections that are still good material. Like this is, you know, there's no rust or penetration here. On the back side there's a little bit, but if you're going to sandblast that out anyway, then it's okay, because you'll clean that up from the inside. But we can do small sections, cut out and do small patch panels, which will really reduce the welding time. Or we can do one long strip. The downside of that is doing one long strip, we've got to do like little tack welds the whole way, and then that increases the chance of warpage up through here.
I'm down to go with what's easiest. I don't need this. Like I said, it's not going to be a hot rod. It's going to be a mobile sauna.
Okay. So there's going to be moisture in there anyway.
Yeah, there's going to be moisture in there anyway.
So let's do small patches. Perfect. Because then we can just grind out small areas, weld them up real quick, and then move on to the next section. And then we should be able to knock it out fairly quick, you know, 3-4 hours.
Fuck yeah. So we're actually going to cut out like the cancerous bits.
Right.
And we're going to do that with like an angle grinder or like
we're just going to come in with a little grinder. I think a torch would be too extreme of a tool, but we'll just come through here. And like we've got good metal through here, so we'll just terminate our cut there. So we'll cut this whole section out, and then we'll use this to make our patch panel.
Nice. Look at that crud. That's what we're getting rid of. Are you giving yourself a little extra room to work, or are you just going pretty much as is?
Well, I'll probably have to trim it back a little bit, because this isn't, like, this cut isn't perfectly square.
It's not rocket science.
But it's, yeah, it's not. You just kind of make it appropriately sort of fit, and then trim it.
Damn. No problem.
The back is the real telling side.
How about thickness? Like, are you trying to match thickness as best as possible, or does it not really matter?
I mean, this is pretty close right here.
Yeah, that's close.
I have a little metal gauge. We can test it and see. So this looks like 14 gauge here, and this is 16. So it's a little bit thinner, but there's no holes in it, which is really good.
I like that. No holes.
We got from here all the way around the side of the front end of the trailer. This is about 4 feet of material that we put back together and patched up. So a pretty fair amount of work. We've still got a little bit of time to work over here. This is about another 6-inch span that we've got to fix over here. So still lots to do, but it's a lot of work, so I don't want it to go to waste. So we're going to shoot some paint over it to make it. It's not going to look great, but it'll
preserve it.
It'll preserve it, and that's all we're here to do. So.
Gosh, you weren't kidding. It really exposes my grinding work, huh?
Yeah, I mean, once you get paint on, it's really obvious. Like, paint work is all in the prep. Like, if the paint's gonna look good, the prep has to look good. So that's kind of the old body man's thing. So just all the spots that were bare. And then I'm going to go on the inside and I'm going to do the same thing. Like, I've put it on pretty thick. It's obviously running here, but I'm not too concerned about that. Like I said, all we're doing is just protecting our work now. That was about 5 hours of work that we put in to get that horse trailer up to where it is now. So
Just in your estimate, how many more hours of work is ahead of me?
Well, if you sandblast, it's probably going to take you probably half a day to sandblast everything inside the trailer. I'm looking at your trailer while I'm thinking about this right now.
So that's an accurate estimate.
Probably half to 3/4 of a day to sandblast the frame and the insides, and then like to cut out the rear bar underneath the door like we talked about and replace that. That's probably hour, 2 hour job. Reinforcing that front area where you're going to have your stove. Probably another 2 to 3 hours worth of work there. There's no shortage of work for you to do. Then you got to make sides and all your woodworking and put your.
That'll seem like cakewalk though after this.
Oh, it's all work. It's all a lot of work. That's what makes projects fun. So.